Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. Here's what we have in the bulletin. PEP results to be released this afternoon. Opposition wants more money for hurricane preparedness. And later in sports, Reggae Boys expresses confidence ahead of Gold Cup opener on Saturday. Thank you for joining us. I'm Shamela Pullen. Here are the details. We go to our coverage now of the National Day of Mourning. TVJ's Kerry Simpson looks at activities in Kingston and Portmore. Kerry?
Thank you, Shamela. I'm at Don Robin Primary School, where, led by Custos of St. Andrew Ian Forbes, several justices of the peace have joined in a special devotion at the school. Of note, mostly adults are wearing black. The students are donned in their uniforms. We witnessed prayer for the nation's children, singing and activities, all in remembrance of the children who have died and continue to suffer abuse at the hand of uncaring adults. We spoke to the principal earlier.
It is a moment that we wouldn't want to happen, but the reality is that it is happening, and this is our lending our voices to say we're in solidarity, especially as an educational institution, that we are standing with the nation, being a part of the nation, of course, to say that this has to stop. This could have easily been a student at Don Robin Primary School or any other institution in our country. So we first of all have to get back to the place where the village raises the child. Too many of us have moved away from the concept that every other man's child is my own, even if not biologically. So we cannot continue in the vein where we see a child moving in a particular direction and we simply turn a blind eye. So we have to start there.
Now, Shamila, similar activities are being held island-wide. Earlier this morning, Education Minister Favour Williams returned to Brayton Primary School in Portmore, where 8-year-old Danielle Rowe was abducted. And as you know, she subsequently died.
Here at Brayton Primary and Infant, after these existing cameras were installed over the last week or so, an assessment was done, and that's how come we found out that there are blind spots, spots that the camera is not picking up. And so we are coming in with at least 8 additional cameras to install to get that coverage.
We'll have more on this National Day of Mourning for Children. For now, I'm Kerry Simpson reporting from Don Robin Primary School. It's back to you in studio.
Thank you, Kerry. And still in Portmore, from as early as 7 this morning, members of the Kifani Care Ministries took to the streets with placards in hand. The group reiterated calls for people who commit violent acts against children to face the requisite punishment. Faith Smith Grant is the leader of the group. She says they have done similar actions in a number of communities across St. Catherine since last week. But she said when the proclamation was made by the Governor General Sir Patrick Allen this week, they did not hesitate coming out again.
We're here to say enough is enough. We're saying that persons who are entrusted with the care of our children, they must remember that it is our duty to take care of them. It is our duty to protect them. We're saying that for all the other children, we stand with Danielle Rowe's mother, but we're standing for all the other children who are still missing, for the cases that have gone unsolved. We're saying enough is enough. Stop abusing our children. Stop betraying their trust. Allow them to be children. How can they come into their future if we don't allow them to?
Grade 6 students will know later this afternoon their high school placements. A press conference is currently underway where it was revealed that 36,165 students were registered to sit the exam. 85.8% were placed in a school of their choice. We'll have more from the press briefing in Primetime News at 7. The parliamentary opposition is renewing concerns about the lack of preparedness for the 2023 Atlantic hurricane season. Michael Phillips says the government needs to pump more money in ensuring the country is ready for severe flooding. More in this report.
It's 23 days into the National Atlantic hurricane season. Forecasters say based on the weather patterns, this season is unpredictable. And so, it's why PNP Vice President Michael Phillips is expressing concern about what he deems the inadequate preparations for the season. Mr. Phillips says the country's infrastructure is not ready for heavy showers that may be associated with storms for the season.
We have been getting on an annual basis $1 million per constituency to spend through the National Works Agency to do drain cleaning. On a similar instance, the councillors get around the same through the PRF. They don't get a dedicated spend for preparation, for drain cleaning in preparation for the hurricane season.
Mr. Phillips also complained that the money allocated to each member of parliament to carry out works in their constituency is not enough. He says the disbursement should be given based on priorities in each area.
You can't give an urban seat like the Prime Minister's or even East Central St. Andrew the same amount of spend that you would give a rural seat. The Prime Minister's constituency can fit in my Gully division 3 or 4 times, but I get the same $1 million to prepare for the hurricane season as the Prime Minister would get in his own constituency. And what we're saying is that you look at the constituency size, look at what should be done.
He's calling on the government to do more to better prepare Jamaicans for the season instead of waiting until the damage is done.
If you were to drive from Maypen to Clarendon Park, look at those earth drains that are still filled with grass and debris. If Clarendon is to get a proper rain, I can tell you that parts of southern Clarendon would be flooded because of lack of preparation. If you go into my own constituency, what we can do with $1 million in collaboration with the National Works Agency cannot touch not even a quarter of what is needed in Northwest Manchester.
But speaking at last week's post-cabinet press briefing, local government minister Desmond McKenzie, along with officials from the ODPEM, said all was in place for this hurricane season. O'Shane Masters, TVJ News.
The St. James Police say preliminary investigations do not point to foul play in the case of an American tourist who was found dead in her hotel room in Montego Bay. The woman, 24-year-old Quintaria Rocker from West Palm Beach, Florida, was found unresponsive Wednesday morning.
Tourist died was found unresponsive. She was rushed to the hospital where she was pronounced dead. At this time, no foul play is suspected, and we just have to await further investigation on autopsy to see what might have caused her death.
Transport Operators Development Sustainable Services says a fare increase will be announced soon. Speaking at a health fair for taxi operators in St. James recently, TOD's president, Egerton Newman, says this is necessary. Mr. Newman says the percentage of the hike will be announced soon.
That is a must. That is coming. But along with fare increase, it must be discipline within the sector. We're not going to dash at 50% or 100% or 120%, and I want to stop at 120, on the commuting public, and the lewd music is still playing. The dirty dressing is still going on. The dirty vehicles, no. With fare increase, which is a must, and we want it this year, must come cleanliness within the public transport sector.
Mr. Newman is warning transport operators to adhere to the road code and, importantly, desist from playing inappropriate music in their vehicles when transporting passengers.
So when you have lewd music, you have youngsters gyrating, and when you have that, it becomes a party bus because they're dancing in the bus, right? And therefore, we are saying none of that. Under the new minister, we are working seriously. Drinking and driving, drinking before you drive. You have the rum and the coke inside the bus while you're driving. It must stop. Uniform must be wear. Badge must be utilized. Those are things that we are promoting.
It's time for a break. Stay with us. More stories when we return. Welcome back to the Midday News. It's time for the Business Minute.
The Planning Institute of Jamaica has officially launched the Data for Development online monitoring platform. It supports the use of data and statistics for analysis, monitoring, and evaluation by all stakeholders. It will also strengthen the PIOJ's ability to support policy development, the alignment of planning and development, financing and budgeting, and the management of public investment. PIOJ Director General Dr. Wayne Henry said the platform is geared towards promoting the use of evidence in decision-making.
It facilitates the translation of data and statistics on global, national and local level indicators produced by the Statistical Institute of Jamaica, STATIN, international organizations and other data producers into evidence, targeted at addressing specific development problems towards producing planned development results. This online monitoring platform is an important pillar in building the PIOJ's institutional capacity and advancing national and sector plans that promote efficiency and effectiveness.
The portal was developed by the government of Jamaica with support from the United Nations Development Programme, UNDP, towards advancing the Vision 2030 Jamaica National Development Plan and the Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs. Further afield, the U.S. Federal Trade Commission on Thursday argued in federal court for a preliminary injunction to temporarily block Microsoft's acquisition of video game maker Activision Blizzard. The FTC argues that the $69 billion merger should be blocked until the agency's in-house court gets to rule on whether the combination hurts competition in the video game industry. The FTC says the combination would give Microsoft's Xbox video game console exclusive access to Activision games, leaving Nintendo consoles and Sony Group Corp's PlayStation out in the cold. And that's it for the Business Minute. I'm Shane Masters.
Time now for the top regional and international stories.
In the region, the rate of rejection for United States non-immigrant visa applications by Antigua and Barbuda was one of the lowest in the Caribbean region for the year 2022. A report on the U.S. State Department's Bureau of Consular Affairs website says that Antigua and Barbuda nationals who applied for and were denied B1 or B2 visas last year stands at 14.09%. In comparison, the rate of visa rejections for Dominica is 25%, Grenada 16.58%, St. Kitts and Nevis 17.14%, St. Lucia 16.72%, and St. Vincent and Grenadines 14.12%. On the international scene, at least 27 migrants were rescued off Spain's Canary Islands on Thursday. Now, emergency services say the Coast Guard saved the migrants traveling on inflatable boats near the Lanzarote and Gran Canaria Islands in the Atlantic. A number of them were taken to hospital to be treated for a mild condition. And at least 31 illegal miners are believed to have died in a gas explosion in a disused gold mine in South Africa that happened more than a month ago but is only now coming to light. The National Department of Mineral and Energy Resources, in a statement, said a search operation of the mine was delayed because methane gas levels were still dangerously high in the ventilation shaft where the miners are thought to have died. And those were the top regional and international stories. I'm Shane Masters.
Thank you, Shane. We head to a quick break. When we come back, we'll have your midday sports report with Jeremy Brown.